We can't get enough of these guys. Did you guys enjoy them over there? I saw some of you rocking. How about it? Let me ask you again. Did you guys enjoy Boss Hoss over here? You're a little slow, but you're getting it. What about on this side? You guys like Boss Hoss? You know where I'm coming. What about in the middle? It's got to be the middle right there. Alec and Sasha rocking it out, posing up here with the boss and Heather. We have a full afternoon in store, and we're going to have another Boss Hoss song.
Thank you very much.
I think the Boss Hoss may become a trio. Arnold, how's your singing voice, Governor?
It's fantastic. Don't worry about it.
I want to see him doing karaoke. Well, listen, what's so great is right now, this room is filled with a lot of young, aspiring climate influencers. And that's what this afternoon session is all about. We heard from the global leaders, the CEOs, but today we want to hear from the people who are really on the front lines of green technology, the innovators, the people who will be the leaders of tomorrow who are already making innovations today. And I love doing this in the afternoon, but I don't do it alone. We've got somebody who's been involved with the Austrian World Summit since day one. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the great Barbara Meyer.
Hello, Matt.
I saw you dancing to Boss Hoss over there.
Of course I'm dancing.
A little up there.
Yes, it's amazing. You're bringing in such a great energy, but Boss Hoss does, of course, as well. Hello, everybody. I'm so happy to be back for another summit. And I'm so happy to have you again as my co-host.
Well, thank you, Barbara. Well, listen, we've got a great lineup of speakers, so should we get it kicked off?
Of course. Let's bring up our first guest, right?
Well, our first guest, Andy Schleck. I love this dramatic music. You're like an action hero. We saw it though. You essentially are. You're a former professional cyclist. As we saw with the yellow jersey, you're the 2010 Tour de France winner. And since retiring, you've become involved in investing in sustainable companies and perhaps more importantly, supporting sustainable commuting practices. So Andy, when did your passion for the environment start?
Well, my history obviously was in cycling. When I stopped 2015, I saw that there's more than just riding the bike. Of course, then 2016, I got involved with a startup called N0 from the US, but US-based startup company. We brought them to Luxembourg to develop the European market. Since then, yeah, more and more we approach more and more customer, banks, community, municipalities, and help them to reduce their carbon footprint, but at least make them aware of the future, because I do believe we're steering in a direction we don't want to live in 50 years from now. Countries will be unlivable, and I think, you know, Luxembourg is a small place, small country, but if we can have a small impact, is maybe a good direction in the good cause.
Well, we still want to be able to ride our bikes outside. So when you say N0 is working towards reducing carbon footprints, what projects are you guys working on? What are some of the things people could look towards?
So our slogan is we can change what we can measure. A lot of cities, they take the spreadsheet end of the month, we found out, and then they take an average CO2 emission and they try to reduce it, but they don't know really how. So what N0 does, it's an AI-based data and decarbonization platform. So we go to all the counters of buildings, the heating system, the gas outtake from the building or from the city, and we give them a real-time vision on their CO2 emission. So basically, to explain it easily, it's, what is my impact if I put this light on, that you see it in real time? And based on data and AI, you can make smart decisions in order to decarbonize your company, your building, or your city.
Sounds incredibly practical. What about as we look towards the future, Andy, what would you like to see implemented? What are the plans for N0?
Well, I do work a lot and brainstorm a lot with my team about this a lot of tools out there. We just need to be ready to use them and also make a change. People tend to wait until tomorrow to change something. And they wait, and eventually nothing changed. So yeah, take action. N0 is one tool. We have multiple companies we work with. Next is another company. They basically take satellite footage and see of the heating of buildings and do a 3D mapping. For example, Copenhagen, Paris, we work with to see, okay, which building cause which emissions, and also based on smart decisions and intelligence decision, we try to go to a better future. I have 2 kids as well. I would like them to raise up in a time, we don't need to have floods or tornadoes, which we even have in Luxembourg lately, and have a healthy life. I believe our time is soon done, and we going to the end. But yeah, there's a lot of generations behind.
We got a few more good years left, Andy.
There are a few generations behind, which I would leave the planet a better place than we found it.
Well, if I could paraphrase that, and I think it all comes back to Schwarzenegger in Terminator 2, there is no future but what we make. So the theme today is be useful, tools for a healthy planet. So if you could share with some of these aspiring climate influencers, people who look to do what you do, what would be some ways to be helpful, some tools that you would share with them?
Well, I think it basically starts in our household. Small changes which might be uncomfortable. Going... An example, go to Paris, I can take the plane, I can take the car, I can take the train. I choose the train. It's small impacts which I also educate to my children already, or to young people who follow me, or young people I inspire during my cycling career and who look at me. So I try to be an example, investing a lot of time into N0, Next, Orki, the companies. I'm not money driven, I'm passion driven, and I think that's the most important, and I'm never scared to take action in life. I learned that on the bike as an athlete. You learn to take actions, and you find yourself more often with the face on the ground than standing on the podium. And these lessons, I apply them today in what I do. And try also to show that even if you come with a sportive background, I can have a difference in the future and inspire people to make a change.
Well, I'm glad you're taking the train, not riding your bike, although you do look good in yellow. Lastly, Andy, let everyone know, where can they connect with you, where can they follow you?
Well, I'm not a social media expert. I try to keep it a little bit up to date on Instagram, but I do host quite a few events all over the globe, I would say. Next week I'll be in the Tour de France, but if you want to follow what I do, I'm on Instagram. I'm not on Facebook. I try to share a little bit my passion there and what I do on a daily basis.
Well, I think you could have some help with social media from some of the people in this crowd. Andy Schleck, one more time, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Matt.
Barbara, over to you.
Yes, and my next guest on stage is Cosima Richardson. You are the founder and CEO. So you are the founder and CEO of
correct,
Kind Hair.
Correct, yes.
What exactly is Kind Hair?
So Kind Hair is the first plant-based hair extensions, actually. And you might wonder, why would anyone need plant-based hair extensions? So conventional hair extensions are actually made from plastic, from acrylic to be exact, which is made from toxic carcinogenic chemicals. And 1 in 3 users suffer from allergic reactions, from scalp irritations, plus the hair is not recyclable, which means that every time you put them on, I'm actually wearing my own product now, but every time you take them out and you throw them away, it creates millions and millions of kilograms of plastic waste. And that's why I founded Kind Hair, which is a new solution. So it's plant-based, it's non-toxic, and it's also biodegradable.
So, and why did you want to create that product?
Thanks.
It is amazing, yes.
Thank you very much, yes. So I've been wearing synthetic hair or braids since I was 5 years old, which actually a lot of black women do. So in the black community, it's very common to wear hair extensions because Afro hair takes a lot of time to maintain, and by wearing extensions, you just save a lot of time to deal with your own hair. That's how I got into it. So I've been using it since I was a child, and then 3 years ago I started wondering what the hair is made of. and was really shocked to find out what it was made of. And then I was even more shocked that there were no alternatives. So I decided to create one myself.
It is so amazing.
Thank
and
you.
You already launched your first products, right? I saw a waiting list already on the internet.
Yes, correct. So we have a waiting list. If there's anyone here interested, please subscribe. And we will launch in a few weeks, which is really crazy because I started working on this 3 years ago already. And now it's really nice to see everything finally come to life. Yes.
What are next steps? Is the launch, and then do you want to create some other products, maybe for another kind of hair?
Yes. Yeah, Barbara and I spoke about this yesterday already, because we would love to also produce products that are also suitable for straight hair, of course, because the human hair industry is actually also a bit sketchy. You never really know where the hair comes from, but that's a few years in the future maybe. So for now, the next steps is our launch, as I said, and then we're also raising our pre-seed round, so if there are any investors here, come find me. So we will start in launching in Europe, but then later on we also want to expand to other markets and then other products, as you said.
That's amazing, it's so inspiring. And I really love the afternoon session because we have so many young people in the audience. Do you maybe have an advice you would give to them?
Yeah, I would love to ask you, to everyone, all the young people who just got here and who may still be at the beginning of their careers, who of you has considered becoming an entrepreneur? Show your hand, please. Okay, that's really, really few, and I can tell you it was actually the exact same thing for me, because I think, especially for women, you don't see a lot of female entrepreneurs, unfortunately. And I would really, really like to encourage you to consider becoming an entrepreneur, because there are so many pressing challenges that we have to solve on this planet, and I think entrepreneurship is one of the best answers to this, if not the best answer. And I know that it can be scary, and we're always more inclined to go a conventional route, maybe. But for example, I started with only 1 hour a day. So my last job was at Oatly. Some of you may know the company, the oat drink company. And every morning I got up and I decided to do 1 hour for kind hair. And after 6 months, I realized, wow, I've actually gotten pretty far. And then it took me another, I think, 2.5 years until I decided to quit my job. So I want to tell you, it doesn't have to be scary, and you can start small. And please consider becoming an entrepreneur, because we need more entrepreneurs and more innovation to solve all these problems that we spoke about today.
Thank you. It's so inspiring to listen to you. If you could make one wish that would help your company to grow, what would that be?
Yeah, I think someone mentioned this earlier, and I thought that was a really important point, is that all of us need to start questioning our values in terms of consumption, fast fashion, buying everything as cheap as possible, and then also realizing that it's in our power and it's our responsibility to make change happen. And I think we talk a lot about the footprint that we leave and the traces, but I think it's equally important to talk about our handprint. So what do we build while we're here and while we have time to create change? And yeah, it's not really for my business, but that's what I wish for all of us to just think about. Yeah.
It's a very good wish. If people want to know more about you and your company, where can we find some more information?
So you can connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm guessing my name is right there. And you can also follow Kind Hair on Instagram, TikTok, wherever you may be. Yeah.
Yeah, please do. I think it's so inspiring to listen to you. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you very much, Barbara.
Cosima, I was just going to say, I could use some extensions right here. And I know there are a few guys in the audience who are with me. You know what I'm talking about, right? Why are you, no, this kid just smiled. Can you stand up right here, you? Look at his hair. Look at this guy's hair. Why are you thinking This is Justin Bieber. You don't get to raise your hand when I talk about extensions right there. Well, we're going to keep it rolling. I'm very excited to welcome this next guest to the stage. Please welcome Basima Abdul Rahman. It's like we're in a Marvel movie with that music. I love it. Basima, you're unbelievable. You are the founder and CEO of Kesk, a green energy platform based in Iraq. Now, when I think of Iraq, of course, I'm thinking of oil. So how did you come to get involved with green energy in Iraq?
I was inspired by something really unconventional. I was inspired by ISIS. Let me explain.
Okay,
Let me explain.
Okay.
I was in the US wrapping up my master's degree when ISIS took over major cities in Iraq. I was devastated. I was really sad. I think this was the lowest point in my life where I was scared to the core. I'm afraid about my family, the fate of the country. And then it's natural when you're like in your lowest and the deepest sadness, you get that glimpse of light and optimism. And I remember that night in my pitch dark room, I'm sitting, listening to the news and looking at pictures from my family, sending pictures of their luggage, they're getting ready to flee. I was like, I need to go back. I need to go back home and do something meaningful. Once I'm done, I have to go back and do something good. And I'm very passionate about environment protection. It keeps me up at night. Climate change, something scares me. I don't want to wake up one day where we have no access to water, to electricity. Biodiversity is being compromised. So I don't know about any of you, but I feel much better today knowing that I go to work, I'm part of something that creating positive impact, reversing negative impact, whether from climate action, whether from specific, I would say, radical groups, etc. You can become the positive example and try to reverse any sort of negative impact. And I truly believe climate change is our fight today. No matter what kind of conflict happening in any part of the world, this is one fight we're all having together.
That's beautifully said. You started off, you had us scared there for a second, Basima. But I will say, I think it's very common that we hear people are very often motivated by very traumatic, tragic events. I love that you turned it into something beautiful. But the question then is, how's business?
Business is great. I founded my company 5 years ago. It took me time from feeling that passion towards, turning that vision into what I was thinking of so many things. I was thinking of starting a business in recycling. I was thinking of sustainable tourism. And then I narrowed it down to one. I started with something I would consider the most urgent, which is energy supply. We have 12 hours gap of energy supply. Best case, you can get 12 hours of electricity a day. So the alternative is diesel generators. And they're highly polluting, they're expensive. So the first thing came into my mind is that what is the major electricity driver is air conditioning and heating. So we started deploying renewable energy, solar energy air conditioning systems, and then we expanded to other solutions, and we also expanded to software solutions. So that's why we call ourselves a green energy ecosystem platform, because we integrate hardware, software, and we're also expanding towards carbon credit monetization.
Well, I love it. I think that's worthy of applause right there. So as we've seen, there are a lot of very young, aspiring people here in the audience. You're obviously walking the walk, having success with it. As they're looking to go green, what advice would you have for them?
My advice is to do something you're passionate about. I would say if you want to be an entrepreneur, be an entrepreneur. If you don't want to be an entrepreneur, it's okay. You can be an entrepreneur within your organization, any entity you work with. You can create that kind of change and practice your passion. And the most important thing to me that helped me a lot in my career is network. Network is really important. So you're here today, use this platform to start building your network.
I love hearing that. Now, we had you up here for a reason. You're very successful already, but in terms of networking with this platform, knowing there are people watching all around the globe and some very influential people in here, what would be the thing you would ask for? What would be the thing that would take KESK to the next level?
I would like to see more investment in climate tech and green tech. Do you know that only 3% of investment from VC and other kind of funds go to climate tech and green tech globally? This is not good. We need way more than that. That's what I wish for.
And of course, the theme of the day, being useful tools for the planet. Would you share some good tips on how people can be useful and what tools you would suggest?
I would suggest that practice with little things. Really, same thing the other speakers talked about. Practice by really living, by example, and not just talk the talk. Just also, you need to walk the walk. And show by example how you want to help in reducing the negative impact of environment degradation, the climate change. Be the example yourself, and then you can start from there.
Basima, a home run today. Wait, last question. How can people connect with you? How can people connect with KESK?
Let me see. Okay, you pronounced it correctly. You can find me on every social media platform, LinkedIn, Instagram, mostly, Twitter, if you're, I don't know if you're
If we're going to say if you're old, because that's where I am. I knew that was coming.
Depends on which platform, but I'm all across, so exactly.
Basima, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Matt.
Thank
I appreciate
you.
it.
Barbara, back to you.
So inspiring, listen to these young entrepreneurs. And I have another one on stage now. It's Charlotte Magai. Charlotte, you are the founder and CEO of Mukuru Clean Stoves. I think before we start talking about that, let me share some information with the audience, because I think it is important in your case to understand the problem before we can talk about your solution. Because worldwide, 2 billion people lack access to clean cooking. That means they cook over open fire, like very basic stoves. They use wood, agricultural waste, animal dung as fuel. And this is very dangerous because if they cook inside, they inhale all these toxic fumes and smoke. And of course, this damages the health a lot. And I was really shocked to read that it is the second leading cause of premature death in Africa, right? And we're talking about 1 billion people in Africa having that problem. And you found a solution for that.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so that is the problem, coupled with other things. But essentially, people who live in poverty also depend on inefficient methods and solid fuels to cook. And they end up spending up to 1/3 of their income on fuel consumption. And so what that means is their children are exposed to fumes. It's essentially, household air pollution is the equivalent of a 5-year-old boy smoking 5 packs of cigarette every single day. Now imagine being exposed to that and being expected to be able to live a full, content life. And so what happened with Mukuru Clean Stoves is, it's called Mukuru. Mukuru is one of the largest slums in Nairobi. I grew up there. My parents died when I was a very young girl, and at 16, I ended up becoming a teenage mother. And so I get a job selling charcoal. That's what I use at home. And my daughter, when she turns 2 years, she suffered a very severe burn injury caused by that stove. So initially, I just wanted to make a more stable stove to limit the risk of burns in children. And while doing research is when I realized that burns were a problem, but household air pollution was killing 22,000 Kenyans every single year. And the cost of fuels was basically putting Kenyans in a position where they were not able to afford nutritious meals for their children. So then I designed a stove that would solve all three problems, and I used recycled metal to make it so that impoverished communities can still buy it without necessarily needing subsidies.
It's so inspiring. You designed it by yourself? Wow. That is worth the applause. It's really inspiring to listen to your story. And how many stoves did you already sell? Because I was reading a number, it's pretty impressive.
Currently, we've sold about 521,000 stoves. This means 2.5 million people now benefit from cleaner air within their homes, and they've managed to save over $50 million in fuel consumption costs. We also sell... we also sell the stoves through a network of local women business owners, since women and girls are the most impacted by household air pollution. And so for every stove that we sell, a woman somewhere in rural Kenya is earning a 10% commission. And cumulatively, they've already earned over $500,000 in commissions.
That's great. And you also have very exciting new steps ahead, right? You have new steps. What are the next steps you're taking?
Yes, so we have a really new, hopefully incredible solution coming up. In 2022, we won Prince William's Earthshot Prize. It comes with £1 million, and for me, it also came with a question, what more could we do? And my daughter, she's okay, she's 13, she's taller than me, a very brilliant girl. I'm in the kitchen, we're cooking, and we read this report by the CDC, and it essentially is stating that people are still catching malaria, even when they have access to mosquito nets. And the conclusion was either they weren't using it or they were catching it just before they go to bed. And my daughter says they're catching it while they're cooking, using our stoves. So we had to solve this problem for her, but also because we have these resources. So a little bit of research tells you that Kenya and Uganda are the largest producers of pyrethrin in the world, and pyrethrin is the strongest insecticide. Now, in small quantities, it's not harmful to humans. So over the last year, we have been doing research into developing the first in the world mosquito-repellent fuel, and we now have an MVP.
Wow. It's so great that you don't stop, but you think of the next step and the next step. And if you would have one wish you could make that really would help your company to grow even more, what would that be?
I think what would really help Mukuru grow is a lot of people don't know about the work that we're doing. A lot of people in Europe do not understand that household air pollution is a problem because our cooking ways are very different. So if you could, tell the stories, amplify the work, learn more yourself to understand what that means for a household in Kenya, even though you yourself have not had to use a traditional stove or an open fire to cook, but allow us, give us the platforms to talk about the work that we're doing and for more people to find out what we're doing, because that's how we receive more support and we impact more lives.
That's great. Our theme of the day is be useful. What are you trying to do to be useful, and what would you say can everyone do to be useful?
I think we are all living in this planet. We are all loving this planet. We all want it to be healthy. I have 2 daughters. I want to leave them a planet that is livable. So just being responsible, being useful is understanding that you may have a lot of resources, but using them sparingly, using them responsibly is ensuring that future generations do not have to, have climate strikes instead of being in school because we are destroying our planet. So I think the ask for me would be to be more responsible, be more concerned about how you're using the resources that you have. Just because you have it doesn't mean you should, take advantage of it.
You're totally right, yes. So where can people learn more about you or support you? Because you also need some support, right?
Yes, we would love very much your support. We are very active on social media, LinkedIn, Instagram, especially on Instagram, where we share the stories of the women who use our stoves, of the households who use our stoves, of the people whose lives we impact. So if you could just follow us on LinkedIn, share our work. I know all the young people here are on Instagram, or we are not on TikTok. I'm too old for that. But follow us and just tell more people about the work that we're doing. We'd really appreciate that.
Thank you so much for being here. It was really, really inspiring listening to you. Thank you for making the whole way to Austria. Matt.
Oh my goodness, Barbara. These entrepreneurs are so impressive, and I have a feeling it's incredible. I feel very lazy up here right now, and I have a feeling it's going to continue with our next speaker. Please welcome Nidhi Pant. It's kind of fun sitting here while that dramatic music plays. So, Nidhi, you are the co-founder of S4S Technology. So, what does that stand for, first of all?
S4S stands for Science for Society.
Now, I was looking this up. You got a bachelor's in technology from the Institute of Chemical Technology in Mumbai. So you are legitimately a scientist. So when you say Science for Society, what are you doing? What does this company aim to, what problem is it solving?
Before I explain you what we do, I would like to take you through my childhood, where I grew up in a farm, where one evening we harvested tomatoes, and it rained that night. And in the morning when we decided to take it to the market, the price that we got was 2 rupees, which would be just a few cents. It was more than what the value of the produce was, even more than what was our harvesting cost and the transportation cost that was for us to take it to the market. And that's where my family decided to just dump it in the back of our village. And that was my first time where I saw food wastage in my village. And that got me thinking that, what can we actually do about it? But the biggest challenges that we saw was that in a developed country, using solar power is greening the value chain. But in a country like India, where in the village there is only single-phase electricity for 12 hours, we hardly have any energy to either run a big cold storage or do any sort of processing. And that was the second problem that I saw, that energy access in a country like India, in a developing country, is not available for any sort of manufacturing activity to take place. And the third thing for me, which I kept questioning, was that for the longest time, the photo of a farmer everywhere I saw was of a male figure. But what I saw in the field was that women were responsible to run the farm and also run the household. And that's what S4S stands for, and that's when I got my chemical engineering. We decided to solve the problem of food wastage, giving energy access in our village, and also have more women farmers in the value chain. So what S4S does is that it takes the ugly produce of the farmers and converts that into food ingredients. So instead of selling like a tomato, the farmer can now make ketchup. So we provide farmers with renewable energy-powered food processing solutions. So we would provide them with a solar dehydrator or a biomass-based evaporator, different types of food processing ingredients, so that whatever is the lower grade ugly produce is what the farmers can convert into food ingredients.
And Nidhi, I feel like you're answering that question for Beyonce. Who runs the world? Girls. They don't know Beyonce. So I was astounded on your website reading just how much waste there is associated, not just in India, but even in what are considered more modern countries. There's so much food waste associated that this aims to solve. So what are the next steps for S4S?
At S4S, we now work in western part of India. We are expanding into other parts of India and also considering expanding to Africa. So we want to take our solution to more number of farmers. Food wastage is a problem because it also, it is not only emitting methane and carbon dioxide in the environment, but it also is a waste of natural resource, which is labor, energy, water, and capital that is associated in making the produce.
So as you're talking about what your next steps are, the question we've been asking is, what would your request be as you look out and you have this great platform? What would be the request you would make to try to grow S4S to that next level?
For S4S, my request would be that if you know anyone who can give us either the new technologies or help us get financing for our women farmers, or just help us connect to supermarkets in Europe, as we want to also export the produce that our farmers make to more developed countries, any of those resources would be really helpful.
Beautiful. What I also love is that you didn't see anyone being represented, and you chose to step in and fill that void. So as we look at young people here, young climate leaders today and of tomorrow, what advice would you share with them that has really helped you, that has guided you?
One thing that has really helped me is that to be married to the problem and not be married to the solution, and also have the grit and resilience to just keep going. And we want to do what's right, not what's easy. We have that choice today, that we can really use our education to actually make sure that no one is left behind, neither the planet nor the people. So defending the planet, defeating poverty, and demanding equity is what everyone should use their talent as well as voice for.
Do what's right, not what's easy. If I'm not mistaken, you're sounding a little bit like Kick-Ass Arnold right there, Nidhi, which we all appreciate. So the theme today, being useful, tools for the healthy planet. What would you share some simple ways that everyone can be useful?
Yes, everything that you're doing in your daily life, whether it is your waste segregation, whether it is using plastic bottles of shampoo, every step there is a way in which we can switch and make better choices so that we make the planet a lot more healthy. So just keep mapping your journey, and in whatever ways you think you can either use sustainable materials or you can either conserve water, please try and question that. And I try to at least make one better choice every year. Maybe just starting small is always helpful.
Start small. I love it. And lastly, Nidhi, where can people connect with you?
Like everyone, we are also present in LinkedIn or on Instagram, so please follow us.
Nidhi Pant, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much.
So I have an inspiring young lady now on stage. Please come to me, Nayeli Kobo. Nayeli, it is an honor to have you here. Thank you for coming all the way to Austria to share your story. And it is very inspiring because you did successfully campaigning against oil drilling sites in the US. Can you tell us more about what you did or what you're doing, and especially why you're doing that?
Absolutely. I'm so happy to be here with you all today. I grew up 30 feet from an active oil and gas well that severely impacted my health. Los Angeles in the United States is the largest urban oil field in the entire country. And in the United States, there's 18 million Americans living a mile or less to an active oil and gas well. I got really sick when I was 9 years old, from nosebleeds to body spasms to heart palpitations. I even developed asthma. That's something I'm always going to live with now. And at the age of 19, I was diagnosed with stage 2 reproductive cancer. And I was forced to choose between my life and my reproductive system, and I fight every day so that decision ends with me.
Wow. Thank you for sharing your story. I guess it's not easy, but it is so important that people see the consequences, right? So what did you do to fight against that?
My activism was born at the age of 9 out of survival. I didn't know the word activist. I was doing what I felt needed to be done to live in my community. When living next to an oil well, you can't open your windows. If you open your windows, you allow more toxic emissions inside that damage your health and your safety. And that's not okay. And with my mom, we started organizing, and as a community, we've knocked on over 1,700 doors in our community. We were very fortunate to permanently shut down the oil well 30 feet from our home. And we were also very fortunate to, 2 years ago, the Los Angeles City Council and County Board of Supervisors voted unanimously to ban all new oil wells in the city and county of Los Angeles and phase out the existing sites, which is a historic change made possible by frontline communities and people saying enough is enough. We deserve to breathe clean air in our very own homes and open our windows.
Yes, and it's so great that you're fighting for your community. And what are your next steps? Because you have been already very successful, but as I got to know you, you have some more ideas what to fight for.
Definitely, there's always more to do. Currently, we have a very big fight that Arnold is also involved in the state of California. We have a law that that California voters are going to be voting on this November. We are going to be voting to keep a current existing law, SB 1137. It was actually already signed and implemented into law by our current governor, but the week it was signed into the law, the oil industry spent $20 million on a referendum, and they are willing to spend up to $200 million on this campaign this year. So I'm gonna give all of you guys homework and to talk about your friends about the dangers of fossil fuel pollution. Currently in the world, 1 in 5 deaths worldwide is due to fossil fuel pollution, and that's preventable. That's innocent people missing from family dinners and creating memories with their loved ones because of this fossil fuel pollution. And if we were to stop drilling next to homes, schools, hospitals, basic, those people would still be here making those memories and even be here at the Austrian World Summit with us today.
So how can we support you? How can people support you? Can just people in the US support you, or can we also do something here in Europe, for example?
Everyone can do something, definitely, because this is an issue that's affecting all of us. There may not be drilling going on in your backyard as there is in my home right now, but there is a chance that it can continue. Following on social media, all of my socials are at Jegliche, but also talking to your friends and family about this, having those uncomfortable conversations. It's like pushing one domino and 100 will follow. You have to be the person that starts that conversation. I mean, I was 9 years old when I began my activism. I was in elementary school, but knowing that you have something to share, that you're being true to yourself and you are defending your planet is something that no one can ever take away from you or minimize. Talking and having those conversations to educate others is something that is extremely vital for this movement.
It is so important to have you here because Arnold in the morning, he did talk about climate change, but he said it is important to also speak about pollution because millions of people die because of pollution every year. And it's so great because you are the best example that everyone really can do something. Do you maybe have a special advice for our young audience here or maybe some thoughts to the next generation of climate leaders?
Absolutely. I'm very aware that urban oil extraction is an odd cup of tea, but it was my upbringing that brought me that. Finding what ignites that fire in your belly and connecting it back to the earth, whether it's ocean advocacy or a sustainable design. We need more people upcycling in their designs or ending environmental racism. Everything goes back to our earth, and finding your passion and connecting it now for this generation and those to follow is something that, again, no one can ever take away from you.
That is really inspiring. Thank you so much. And to all of you, please follow her on Instagram and spread the news. And we follow you, and good luck for all the fights you're fighting in the future.
Thank you so much.
Matt.
Again, just amazing.
It is
Barbara.
amazing.
Well, let's see what our next speaker has. He's actually joining us on Skype. He's coming to us from down under, Pete Siglinski. G'day, Pete. Are you hearing me clear?
I am. It looks amazing there.
Well, we've got a lot of young people who are having a great time. And by the way, I love your resume. So you were an industrial designer, a high-end yacht builder, and a surfer, and now you're the CEO of the C-Bin project. So first of all, tell me, what is a C-Bin, Pete?
A C-bin is the most simple, obvious thing in the world. It's a cross between a trash can and a pool skimmer. We put it in the water and we filter microplastics and plastic pollution.
Now, I understand you were an industrial designer dealing with plastics, and then you had a bit of an epiphany. Can you take us through that?
Yeah, look, we just figured if you have trash cans on land, why not put them in the water? And then, we just started evolving into this company that, we thought it was cleanup, but we're solving a global plastic problem by starting upstream. Plastics in our oceans, it's in our bodies. We've got nanoplastics being compared to asbestos for inflammatory cardiovascular diseases. And, climate might be trending at the moment, but, plastic is making a comeback and it's absolutely terrifying.
So you aren't just working on the C-Bin and cleaning up our oceans. I understand part of the C-Bin project is also building awareness and education. So tell me how you approach that, Pete.
Yeah, so look, what we do is we design and develop innovative technology. We filter the water, but originally we focused on cleanup, and but then we got smarter and focused on reductions and removal, because cleanup is not just going to fix the problem. So we figured we'll start upstream, we'll clean up an entire city's waterfront. And, we transitioned into an environmental data services company. In 2023, we filtered 9.25 billion litres of water. We captured 4.7 million plastic items, but 2.6 million of these were microplastics. And we use this impact data to fill critical knowledge gaps for prevention, for better practices, supporting policies and government legislation. So our product started with the trash can, and now it's this impact data where we're funded by private and public sectors. And it's, we created a model similar to a carbon credit without the credits, with no offsets, no neutrality. It's impact that you can trust, without the bullshit. And our clients are some of the biggest in the world who want to support the oceans. They want to meet sustainability goals and attract a value-aligned new consumer market who want purpose attached to their purchase.
Well, I love it. You've already then gone through a big epiphany in the company, starting off with, as you say, the floating trash cans, becoming a data company. But what would you say are the next steps then for the C-Bin project?
Well, the next steps for us is that there is this amazing nature market emerging, driven by the TNFD, the Task Force for Nature Financial Disclosures, and mandatory nature reporting is going to be coming into law in the very near future, which climate reporting is becoming mandatory now. So our next steps are to work with plastic-dependent companies, consumer packaged goods companies like Coca-Cola, Nestle, Mars, like literally all of our favorite brands that end up as litter in the environment. And our goal is to use our impact and data capabilities to promote better practices, but get them to plastic net positive, which means they're removing more plastic waste from the environment than they're producing to create plastic net positive. So we can get an overall positive impact. And to do this, we're looking for investment. We want to scale into more cities around the world. And, if there was an ask, it's like, if there's any investors in the audience, Arnie, if you're listening, if anyone knows any investors, we need investment to scale up, because, profit doesn't have to be evil. You need profit to make impact, and you need the, investment to solve the world's biggest problems.
Well, I would just love to see Arnold on a surfboard, Pete. There are a lot of young people here, and one of the things that's been incredible, Barbara, is looking at the diverse backgrounds for all these people who've come to these incredible projects. So, Pete, a lot of young people here. What would you say? How can they be helpful? What are some simple ways or some simple tools for a healthy planet?
Yeah, look, if you've got a dream or an idea, you want to do something that's going to help others or help the planet, make a plan, do it, take the plunge, jump in the deep end, because, a journey of 1,000 miles starts with the first step, but if you don't have a plan and you quit your job, you're going to run out of money, and then you got to ask for your job back. And, if you're going to do anything socially good or something good for the environment, there's always criticism, mainly from peers, which is really unfortunate. And so my favorite quote to remember to keep me positive is, the people who say it cannot be done should not interrupt those who are doing it. And just using those simple tools has really put me on the path where I am, trying to help fix the planet. So.
Well, Pete, I got to give you a lot of credit, too, because you've done a good job with some marketing on there. But for those who can't see it, what is the social media tag? How can people get in touch with you, Pete, and follow the CBIN project?
I'll just move out of the way a little bit. Yeah, just LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Just check out CBIN project. And it's a pretty active social media feed. I've got my email up in the corner there if anyone wants to reach out and say hi. But just reach out, and we'd love to help. If anyone's got any ideas, you want any feedback, just let me know. If I can help, I'd love to.
Well, Pete, thank you for joining us, and may the waves be gnarly, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Barbara.
Yes, I have a young, inspiring woman from Estonia now with me on stage, Anna-Liisa Palatu.
Quite the intro, huh?
Isn't it? But you deserve it. You are the founder and CEO of Vula, and I guess it has something to do with wool, right?
That's a correct guess, yeah.
Can you tell us more about what you are doing, or about the product and project you invented?
Yeah, so we are using leftover sheep wool to replace plastic bubble wrap. So until 2020, there was no replacement for a plastic bubble wrap on the market. So I was running my own online store, and I didn't find anything that would be sustainable, but also actually work in protecting parcels. So I started testing out a bunch of different materials that could replace plastic. And then all of a sudden, I saw this newspaper article saying that 200,000 tons of sheep wool goes to waste in Europe every year, and that's majority of all wool that we have in Europe, because the quality of it is very low, so you can't use it in textiles or anything like that. And farmers were like literally burning and burying the wool, which is such a shame because it's like a natural miracle material, so it regulates temperatures, humidity, and it's elastic. So we started using this for replacing bubble wrap. And we are creating wool envelopes in our own factory in Estonia. And we are selling these to e-commerce and luxury companies across Europe, including clients like the LVMH group. And we're also a certified B Corp, and we have 24 people working on this mission. And to date, we've raised 6 million euros.
Wow, that is impressive. So, and you invented that all by yourself, just by reading these different kind of articles, and then you just had the idea and did everything by yourself?
No, definitely not. I mean, it wasn't that straightforward. It's not like I just woke up one day and there was the idea. It was like a journey. So my background is basically, the only thing I've done in my life is start very unsuccessful businesses. So I've been doing this since I was 16, and I've tried out like a bunch of different ideas. I tried to build like a dumpling vending machine. I tried to build moving sidewalks that would replace cars. So all of these ideas failed, until 2020 when we founded Vula together with my two co-founders.
That is super interesting that you talk about failing, because we have a lot of young people in the audience, and I think it is important to hear that the way to success is never straight. And you're a very good role model for them, because you never gave up, you believed in yourself, and you had success in the end. Do you maybe have some tips or some learnings from the time of failure?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, failure is one of the best things that has happened to me in my life. It's where I've gotten most of my knowledge. So my advice for anyone in the audience is to stop spending so much time on thinking about how you're going to change things or do things, and just do it. And I'm very fortunate myself to come from Estonia, so I have seen how unicorns like Skype and Bolt and Pipedrive were built there. And I can tell you, there were no business plans, absolutely no money, no retirement strategies, just a group of people that was sick of the status quo and hungry for change. So that's really all it takes. You just have to get started. And I mean, if everything fails, you can always just get a job, right? So it's not actually that scary.
It is, and it is very inspiring, yes. So you already told us that you have many companies who shows interest in your product. What are your next steps in the future?
Yeah, so we are going after half of the world's bubble wrap market share, and we are going to take it from the plastics industry, so big oil. Big oil plans to double plastic packaging production in the next 15 years and triple it by 2050. So just think about this for a moment, how completely insane that is to triple plastic packaging production by 2050. So we exist to ruin their plans, basically. And in order to do that, we need to create a packaging that's just so much better than plastic in every sphere that e-commerce companies just can't say no to us.
That is a great goal. And I hope everyone in the room will support your product, because it is important, and I think we have to stop the plastic production. You're totally right. If you could make one wish that would help your company to grow, what would that be?
Yeah, I do have one request, and it is simple. I wish that everyone would act when they see injustice and not stay silent, thinking that they don't matter or that they're too small to face the evils of this world, be it fossil fuel companies or imperialistic countries trying to threaten our livelihood. And I think that if everyone would do this, and if my wish would come true, it will help my company grow as well as humanity as a whole.
Thank you so much. How can people get in touch with you and learn more about your products, or maybe sheep farmers can get in touch with you as well?
Yeah, sheep farmers are definitely a very frequent people who contact us all the time, but you can find us from our website, wula.io, and I'm also pretty active on LinkedIn myself, sharing memes from time to time, so you can find me there.
It is amazing. Thank you so much for coming today. Thank you so much for telling your story.
I gotta say, boss, these entrepreneurs seem to be stealing your catchphrase. I don't think it's gonna be yours anymore, because what do we keep hearing from these people? Do it now. And now it is time for our final speaker of the afternoon. Please welcome Anna Greil. I was giving a little superhero pose. Anna, unbelievable. So you're the founder and CEO of Uptraded. Now I've heard it described as Tinder for clothes. So tell us about Uptraded and what it does.
Sure. Yeah, so basically, I don't know how many people of you know, but the fashion industry is actually one of the biggest polluters on our planet. And at the moment, we would have enough clothes already to dress the next 6 generations of human nature. And so this is the problem that we're trying to solve with Uptraded. We want to provide and enable a flow of the resources that we already have. So we're building a swapping ecosystem that basically works like Tinder, just for clothes, so people can swipe and match, then not meet for a date, but to exchange the clothes.
Well, I love that. That seems like a genius idea. So we've heard all these stories of inspiration. What was your story for inspiration? What motivated you to start this company?
Yeah, so I grew up in the middle of the mountains in Austria and Tyrol. So if some of you know Heidi, the girl from the Alps, that was pretty much me. So from day one, I had this deep connection with nature. And unfortunately, I lost it during my teenage years, actually. And also during studying economics, I never understood how money, people, and the planet really connect. And this was one of my major questions. And also, during my teenage years, I was a fast fashion addict. So I went shopping every week and trying to impress others through my clothes and compensating for a lack of self-confidence in the end. And then in 2020, I realized that this is actually not a problem that only I have, but there are a lot of people out there who have a similar problem, and this is why we started Uptraded.
I think that's beautiful that you share that. I know a lot of people put on a brave face, but very often feel that insecurity. Thank you for sharing that, and thank you for turning it into something awesome. So we can just download this app and start swapping clothes wherever we are then, is that right?
Sure. So it's currently available in Austria and Germany, and we're actually launching a new app version in the next couple of weeks. Because we understood that what we do is much more than swapping clothes. We're actually helping people to swap their mindsets. And so with this new app version, we're trying to build an economy that serves the people and the planet and not the other way around.
Oh, that's beautiful. So what are the next steps for Uptraded?
Yeah, so first of all, this new app launch, and then one very interesting thing happening, and I think it's one of my dreams. So tomorrow, actually, we're opening our first offline swap shop in the 9th district of Vienna. So if you're still around, feel free to come by and then experience what we're doing online for 4 years now offline.
Well, I think it's incredible. We talk about what are the tools for a healthy planet. It seems like you've created one. But for the people here, what's a simple way that they could learn to be useful?
So I think my advice would be, or what I always try to do, is being radically empathetic and vulnerable. And I learned that this is the base to build trusting collaborations. And I think we've reached a point where we cannot not collaborate. So I would advise everyone to put their ego aside, because actually we're trying to solve something much, much bigger than ourselves.
So I'm so impressed with you standing up here, and you're talking about radical vulnerability, and I know for a lot of people that is terrifying. So I would love to hear, for you, you clearly had to take, what was that first step? What was that first tip, something you could share with people who are perhaps terrified or scared of trying to be vulnerable in the way you're talking about?
There's actually one pretty nice exercise that one of my mentors taught me, and it's called vulnerability tennis, a hard word. But it's basically you meet with random people, and then somebody starts with a vulnerable statement, and then the other person doesn't react to the statement, but just also says something vulnerable about themselves. And then it basically goes like tennis, and you increase the vulnerability shared in the room. So maybe you can actually practice that today if you meet somebody to try that. But I think this is what really helped me to be more radical about vulnerability.
Well, I will start. I am incredibly sweaty right now. And I've been holding in my belly the entire time I'm up here. So this is my vulnerability. But Anna, thank you so much. Where can people follow you?
So we're on all social media channels, also on TikTok. I'm still Generation TikTok. So LinkedIn, TikTok, or also tomorrow in our swapping shop in the 9th district of Vienna.
Thank you so much. Anna Greil.
Thank you.